Welcome to CSN, the Network Podcast. This is your host, Kayvon Cutler, with my lovely co-host, Dream Nazario and Malik Hampton. How are y'all doing this evening?
I'm good, man. How you guys?
I'm good, brother. Blessed and highly favored. Blessed and highly favored. How you doing?
I'm blessed and highly favored as well. You know, better now that I'm talking to you two. And, I'm excited to pod, man. It's a good time, for us to get back on here. We took a little week hiatus. Shout out to John Elmore. We hope you all enjoyed that great interview we released last week. Please keep subscribing, liking, and sharing our content, man. We got, a great line of interviews for you all to listen to, with Perrier Henry starting out first, Aaron Dobson, and now John Elmore. So, if you're playing catch up, that's fine. But, we're just going to keep rolling, keep sharing content with you all. And we hope you all just keep supporting. We want to thank you all. So, with that being said, y'all ready? Let's get right into it, man.
Let's get it.
Starting out with AAA, West Virginia High School prep football. Cabell Midland High School defeated George Washington High School this past Friday evening with a 35-7 victory, where Chandler Smith, who hit a game winner in basketball against G-Dub back in 2019, proved to still be an impact player, as he rushed the ball for 14 times for 96 yards and 4 touchdowns. His younger brother, Dominique, also started in the game by snagging 2 interceptions. So shout out to the Smith brothers. I'm sure their parents were proud. Midland's other star player, Jackson Fetty, who's had a great season so far, continued the trend by eclipsing 1,000 rushing yards this past Friday on the season, where he gained 87 yards on 16 carries in the game. Midland will look to continue their dominance next week against Parkersburg South High School, as G-Dub will look to get a win next week against Woodrow Wilson High School. Moving on, my alma mater, South Charleston High School, we lost to Riverside High School, which honestly was a stunning loss for us. They scored 22 unanswered points after being down 14, and they ended up getting a win 22-14. Riverside was coming off a 49-point loss, sitting at 1-5 on the season before facing the defending state champions in South Charleston, who was ranked 8th in the state. Riverside was led by their quarterback, Jake Walker, and receiver Roger Gray, as they both connected for 3 touchdowns in the game. Their running back, Andrew Berea, accounted for 101 yards on the ground. SC was led by, shout out to Wayne Harris, who had 2 receiving touchdowns on the night, one of 9 yards and another of 77 yards. Riverside will face Parkersburg High School next week, as South Charleston will look to bounce back against a tough opponent in Huntington High School. And speaking of Hun, who is still undefeated and the number 1 team in both the MSAC, and they're tied for the number 1 seed in the state with Martinsburg High School. Huntington High School dominated in their win against St. Albans High School with a score of 56-7. Huntington scored on all 6 possessions in the first half, including a pick 6 starting the game 49-0. Huntington was led by their quarterback, Gavin Lochow, who scored 3 different ways: 1 receiving touchdown on a trick play, 3 passing touchdowns, and 1 rushing touchdown. St. Albans will be on a bye next week as Huntington faces South Charleston, as I mentioned previously. And that's the quick rundown for the local West Virginia AAA prep football sports. Yeah, man.
Any standout performances for you guys?
I guess Riverside, they was 1-5. That's a big win.
So that's your surprise game too.
Yeah,
surprise outcome.
Both that receiver and the quarterback connected on all 3 tugs. So shout out to both of them. That's the biggest surprise to me right there.
That's why we play the game, Lee. Hey, coming off a 49-point L, I know the youngins all thought that was going to be, easy win. Unfortunately, that's why you can't underestimate your opponents.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I thought for sure they would have beat them, man. So
yeah,
business next week in reference to South Charleston. That's a big opponent coming in. Huntington High School, man. They are fully rolling right now. So Yeah, man.
Yeah. Like you said, you gotta, well, if you ever been in a situation where you're, I guess the underdog, the coach always say they lace their shoes up just like we do. So, um, yeah, I think that's surprising. Riverside got the best of South Charleston, but like you said, that's why you play the game. That is why you play the game. As far as player wise, any standout performances y'all got?
I would say the QB for Huntington. Like I said, he just stuck out to me because he scored in three different ways. Like again, this is the quarterback that scored on a receiving touchdown. He threw three of them and he ran one in. So five total touchdowns, three different ways. Man, I respect it. I really like that. Like I said, that really shows how athletic he is, how versatile he is, and that definitely stuck out to me, man. Shout out to Huntington's quarterback Gavin.
What
Yeah,
about you, Lee?
just just the quarterback and receiver from Riverside connected on all the touchdowns. 22 unanswered. That means they found something and stuck with it. So shout out to them.
Word, word. Shout out to them. Well, we'll transition right into college football. We'll start out with Utah versus Arizona State. Tell me your thoughts on that, guys.
Yeah, you want to go ahead, bro? Or-
You can go ahead.
Yeah, I got in my notes here. Arizona State started out the game well. They went up 21-7 going into halftime. Um, but man, Cameron Rising in Utah, they came up big in the second half. And shout out to Utah's defense, uh, holding ASU scoreless in the second half. Thinking very high on Arizona State's quarterback, as if y'all recall correctly in the last recap episode, we were speaking very highly of him, and we still think very highly of him as well. Just flipping through and watching a little bit of that game that I was able to catch, man. That second half, they were just, like I said, Cameron Rising in Utah was just able to run the ball consistently and take advantage of their red zone opportunities, man. Yeah, it's really surprising that ASU didn't score in the second half, but like I said, the defense came out ready to play. And yeah, man, they took care of business in that surprise upset right there.
Yeah, Kay pretty much hit it on the head. Shout out to Utah buckling down in the second half. Shutting somebody out in the half isn't easy, especially in these times of football. They're a little more physical team, so they got the ground game going. Um, Other than that, though, yeah, nothing really much to touch on that. I feel like they were two evenly matched teams. To be honest with you, Utah isn't as bad as one would think, and Arizona isn't, you know, that much hyped up. So yeah, nothing really, nothing really much to touch on with that right there, Dre.
I heard that. I heard that. Well, we'll move right along to our next game. Baylor upsets BYU. I think about that.
Um, I don't think nothing much of this game is either. I know BYU was ranked coming into the game, but if you have been watching them the last few weeks, you could tell they weren't really a team. I can't say they didn't deserve to be ranked. Seeing how a lot of people have been knocked off and they just shot
Yeah.
top 25, but they
Smoke and
wasn't.
mirrors, though. Huh?
Yeah, they wasn't anything special. Baylor was actually favored in the game, as the nine-ring team, so that really told you a lot about what you needed to know as far as the matchup goes. Other than that, yeah, not much to say. Miranda's doing good at Baylor. He's got him playing solid defense. Um, Other than that, shout out to Baylor and get them a top 25 win. I mean, it's not a Power Five school, but it's a good win regardless.
Yeah, good win on the resume, being a top 25 ranked team. Real quick, Baylor had over 300 rushing yards. Malik knows very well. Anytime you can run the ball that effectively, you controlling the time of possession, which means you controlling the play clock. Excuse me, the play clock. Ultimately, so they were able to dominate the time of possession, man, and really come out with that dub. So Yeah, man, it was a good win for Baylor. They were able to rush the ball very, very well. So, and they started out the game jumping on. It was two different occasions. They were up double digits. They started out the game going up 17-7 on them, and then they went up 31-14, and then they just really just continued to dominate. So, yeah, man, it was a good win for Baylor.
Shout out to Baylor. Next on the docket, we got Alabama bouncing back against Mississippi State. Probably not too much of a surprise here.
Yeah, man, roll tide. A lot of people had their comments last week. Just real quick fun fact: 4 of our rings, y'all, have came from one-loss teams. So 4 of our national championship teams finished the season with 1 loss. So again, I'm not a fair weather fan. That doesn't make me feel any type of way. I know why we lost. I'm just touching on it because like I said, we didn't have a recap episode last week, so I'm not ducking. You know what I mean? But I don't. That doesn't put any fear in my heart. But we were able to get the win, 49-9. The defense continued their momentum from last week against A&M, and in reference to the second half performance they showed last week against A&M. Shout out to Jordan Battle. He had a pick 6. We had 3 interceptions and 7 sacks in the night. Shout out to Will Anderson. He had 4 sacks on the night, giving him SEC lead, 7 sacks on the season. And just an all-around great performance by the whole team, playing complementary ball on both sides, on all 3 phases rather. And Bryce Young, I promise y'all, he's going to win Heisman, man. I called it last year, Leak. If he continues the ball, I feel like he'll lock that in, man. He threw for 348 yards and 4 touchdowns, giving him 24 total touchdowns on the season, which is top 3 in the nation regarding passing touchdowns. So yeah, man, shout out my guys, great bounce back win. And, we just got to continue to, right our wrongs and, improve and progress and get better and, defend this national title of ours, man.
No surprises there. You knew coming off a loss they were going to be focused and, want to make a statement as far as like the rankings go, but they didn't fall too far. I think they only fell to 5. Other than that, no surprises with that game. Surprise came the week before with the A&M game. I still like their shots to win the title probably. Now that I've seen everybody play. The only thing with Bama is, us playing them tough earlier in the year. Like I had seen some things, that made them kind of vulnerable. So it was interesting to see Texas A&M capitalize off of it and finish out the upset last week. But as far as this week goes, everybody knew what Mississippi State had coming to it, man. So yeah, no surprises with that game.
Real quick, I just want to add, we also broke the record for 30 points being scored in consecutive games, which now the new record stands at 33 straight games. Again, Alabama, we hold the record for 30 points being scored in consecutive games, which is now 33 consecutive games. Hopefully we can continue to up that total. So
Give all the Alabama fans a cookie. No. Just all right, moving on. We got Purdue stuns number 2 Iowa State in convincing fashion.
It wasn't Iowa State, it was Iowa, but
oh shoot, my fault. Iowa.
That's why we're all here. We're here for each other.
And, that was probably the biggest surprise of the weekend, to be honest.
For sure, Malik. For sure.
I was playing solid ball on both sides. They were running it well. Real balance. Defense was solid. Causing turnovers every week. Purdue was actually on the road. They went to Iowa. So, that was just a good win for Purdue. Just give a shout out to David Bell, their receiver. I'm high on him, to be honest with you. He's solid. He played beside Rondell Moore. I know Rondell Moore got a lot of the hype, but David Bell was always a consistent receiver.
Got you.
I think he had like 240 with like 11 catches. It was something crazy. they really couldn't stop him. So shout out to him, and shout out to Purdue. Going on the road and beating a tough Iowa team who was probably still riding high off of beating Penn State, which they probably shouldn't have been because Penn State's quarterback got hurt and that game looked totally different. Before he went down. So um, yeah, just shout out to Purdue staying locked in, and that was definitely the biggest upset of the weekend.
Yeah, for sure. And just like Malik said, I'm real big on David Bell as well. Shout out to him. He went crazy with a 200-yard game, adding a touchdown. But the score doesn't show it because they only won 24-7. But I say Purdue won pretty handily. Just because their defense was able to force turnovers. They were able to force Iowa's quarterback Spencer Petras into 4 interceptions. You know, 3 of which took place in the red zone area. So Purdue was just able to consistently stop Iowa from driving the ball down and completing some of those drives, even if it was 3 points. Like I said, 3 of those interceptions took place in the red zone. So we're potentially talking about 9 points, even if they didn't score a touchdown. They could have kicked a field goal. So we're talking about 9 points, which would have definitely made a difference in the game. But yeah, man, good win for Purdue. And like I said, shout out to David Bell, man. That's I hope the scouts will watch it because the boy can ball, man. He was going crazy on a stout, good defensive team. So which like bro said, they coming in hot, feeling themselves. It was a home game for Iowa too. So yeah, man, they definitely did that. That was a great upset right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, moving on. We got number 1 Georgia. They handle number 11 Kentucky.
That that wasn't a surprise either, to be honest with you, Drew. Georgia was favored by 21 and a half. They honestly would have covered that. Kentucky scored on the very last play of the game, I guess, trying to do something.
Same face.
Yeah, they do something morally for their team and their ego. But Georgia dominated the game defensively like they normally do, ran the ball well. Kentucky's a well-coached team. Don't get me wrong. They're taking nothing away from it. They're definitely well-coached. Mark Stoops does the best he can. What he has to work with, as far as wise, just where that program was. But no surprises there. Georgia dominated. They're the number 1 team in the nation. It's still undefeated. I think that was their second touchdown given up all year. So I mean, it really there was nothing to be surprised about there. Georgia dominated that game, man. Like everybody knew they would.
Yeah, man. Malik hit it right on the head. I do want to shout out Georgia's tight end though. He knows I'm a tight end guy. I started tight end in high school. Their tight end Brock Bowers was able to have over 100 receiving yards and 2 tutties. And shout out to Stetson Bennett, Georgia's quarterback, who had 3 touchdowns. So it was a good all-around game for the Bulldogs. Like bro said, they was able to run the ball effectively. Of course, they were able to score the ball through the pass game. So yeah, man, Georgia's improving week by week offensively, and that defense is just so stout. I got people hitting me saying, we in reference to Alabama saying we're not gonna score, bro. I was hollering at Bub last week. He hit me on the side like, bro, y'all not gonna score against Georgia. I'm like, all right, we're gonna see. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, the defense is definitely stout over there. So it's a good win for Georgia.
Is it possible for Georgia and Alabama to meet in the college football championship?
Yeah, it's possible. They got to meet in the SEC championship first, though.
I know.
Yeah, that's why I was asking because they're in the same conference, so I didn't know how it worked as far as college football.
If everything goes how it goes and they both run the table, they'll meet up in the SEC championship. Bama beats Georgia, which we're all assuming it'll be a good game. They'll both probably still get into the playoff. If Georgia beats Bama, that's going to be the tricky part because Bama will have 2 losses now. So it'll be interesting to see what they do as far as that goes. But yeah, it's possible for them to play in the championship and both of them to get in the playoffs. I promise that's probably what's going to happen from what I can see. But yeah, Georgia looks good, man. That D is crazy. I think I seen the stat like the last time a defense gave up the amount of points they gave up per game, it was like the 2007 LSU team, and that was Nick Saban's last year at LSU. That was when he won the title at LSU. So it'll be interesting to see if history repeats itself. But they might have to beat Bama twice to do it. So that'll be interesting.
You got anything else to add, bro?
No, ma'am.
Okay, last on the docket, we got number 12, Oklahoma State, handling number 25, Texas.
Shout out to Texas. Sarkisian's been coaching them up pretty well. They look like a solid team. They're real competitive every week. Besides the Arkansas game, Arkansas obliterated. But that game, Texas was the favorite. They were at home. You know, a lot of people were still skeptical on Oklahoma State, I guess, as far as schedule and, you know, how they've been winning, you know, whether they can keep it going. But to be honest with you, Oklahoma State looks like the real deal. They're still undefeated. I think, you know, they got a chance to win the Big 12. They're going to have to get past Oklahoma. That's probably going to be tough now. The new freshman taking over there, and he looks good. But that was a big win for Oklahoma State. A lot of people were doubting them. They didn't think, you know, that they were what their record seemed to be. And, you know, they went out there and proved it. They were down, but I think they scored 14. I think they beat Texas 14-0 in the fourth quarter to end up winning the game. So, you know, that's just staying consistent. They play good, solid defense for the most part. They run the ball well. Kind of a balanced offense. So, yeah, that was a big win for Oklahoma State for sure. Even though Texas isn't the program most people speak about, they're definitely, you can tell Sarkisian is doing something there as far as keeping them competitive. You know, they always recruit pretty good. So, yeah, that was just a big win for Oklahoma State, proving some people wrong.
Yeah, for sure, man. You know, OK State just was riding that running game. You know, they were able to score 16 points in the fourth quarter. And my main thing with Texas, man, is just finishing games. You know, they started out well, going up 17-3, and you know, going through their beast. You know, Bijan Robinson, which I saw Malik talk about on Twitter. You know, he scored the first 2 touchdowns.
Nice.
He's special. He's super sweet. Again, that's Bijan Robinson. You know, for those that may not have got a chance to watch him play yet, it's number 5 for Texas. He's sweet. He's gonna be next. I'm telling you, I can see it just off the eye test. That's someone else to look out for in the league. But yeah, it was just, you know, untimely turnovers, I feel like, by Texas, combined with not being able to finish the game. Texas, like I said, they started the game 17-3. And, you know, once Casey, their quarterback, threw a pick 6 in the red zone when, you know, they could have at least scored 3 points to go up, you know, 20-3. Instead, you know, he threw that pick 6. And, you know, the rest was history after that. You know, K-State was able to build off that momentum and capitalize off the turnovers, man, ride that wave. Shout out to OK State starting running back. He didn't score any touchdowns, but that's okay because, you know, I'll take 193 rushing yards on 33 carries any day. You know, that's a 5.8 yard per carry. 5.8 average yards per carry. And that was Jalen Warren, man. So shout out to OK State's starting running back, going crazy against those boys, man. Like I said, in the second half, they were just moving the ball, running the ball very effectively, being able to get stops, untimely turnovers, which led to, you know, their big win. So they're still undefeated. OK State is. So they, you know, it's going to be a good clash between them and Oklahoma when they line it up. So looking forward to that matchup.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, thank you guys for your great insight on the NCAA football. But we're gonna go ahead and transition into the NFL. football. I mean,
Before we transition, not to cut you off, I
what?
want to shout out little bro Derek Pitts. You know what I'm saying? They got a big win against Boston College.
Yeah.
That was one of the teams that Shaquille and I had circled on the schedule. You know, so like we've been saying for a couple weeks in reference to you and myself and Malik, you know, that ACC is wide open right now.
Mm-hmm.
NC State still has to play Wake Forest, who's a very, very
I'm gonna
pivotal.
be at that game
They're very
coming up.
so. We're gonna see, but yeah, definitely want to shout out to the Reek and NC State. Definitely mention them because them boys playing good, man. Devin Leary threw 3 touchdowns, and Derek was third on the team in tackles with 5, and he starts DB. So you know he's coming up, you know, making plays. So yeah, definitely wanted to mention him real fast. So shout out to bro, love you, man.
Shout out to the family. Love you, Reek. All right. Now we're gonna transition into the NFL. First up, we got Lamar Jackson and the Ravens beating the Chargers. I'm gonna go to Leak first.
Shoot, I mean, nobody really seen that coming. To be honest with you, not that type of ass looking.
At
You
all.
know, Justin Herbert and the Chargers, they've been looking good offensively. You know what I'm saying? And even playing solid defense. Lamar and them have been, you know, Lamar's kind of been willing them to wins, to be honest with you. So, you know, it was people expected it to be a little closer than what it was, but the Ravens came out. The Chargers kind of shot themselves in the foot. They're one of the teams that are, you know, going with the new analytics, so they're going for a lot of fourth downs on,
Mm-hmm.
you know, places that you normally wouldn't go for them on.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of hurt them early in the game. They were down like 14-0. They went for it on fourth on their own side of the field. It just really could never get footing in the game, and Baltimore just held them down and kept their foot on the necks like they were supposed to. So yeah, you know, good win by the Ravens, man. People expected it to be a little different, but you know, Lamar's winning them the wins, and shout out to that boy, man. He looking like the MVP again, for real.
Yeah, sure.
Before you go in, before you state your opinion, Kay, just a quick question. Do you guys think that Lamar can sustain that for the rest of the season as far as, like you said, just willing the Ravens to win?
Yeah, he nice, for real.
Defense plays like that.
Yeah, if the defense help him out like that, man, he ain't got to do too much. I mean, his stats wasn't crazy anyway yesterday, like compared to what they have been. But he still played a good game. Yeah, the defense played really good, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Defense steps up and as they get healthier, you know, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Because they got one of the best run games in the league. You know, add on top of Lamar, you know, stepping up his passing this year, they can do whatever they want, man. He's super different back there. Like one of the best athletes / players in the league, period, like regardless of position. So yeah, they can.
Yeah. I love the relationship him and Harbaugh have too. Like that's such a special like bond. Like and you can see it. You can tell it's not really fake or forced. Like you could definitely see like they have genuine love for each other, which I think is very cool.
Yeah, for sure. They took a chance.
Yeah, they did. Boy, did it work out for them. So I'm sure the love is reciprocal, but you know, nobody is loving Lamar right now, probably more than Coach Harbaugh right now, bro. Like he's probably really like kicking himself. Like I told y'all to pick him up. I told y'all he would be special. Now look, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I definitely do think they can keep this up though if the defense continues to play how they have.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add about the game?
Well, I have Justin Herbert on fantasy.
Mhm.
You know, hopefully I pull out the dub. You know, but he 22 for 39, 195 yards. That's 5 yards per completion. You know what I'm saying? 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Had a QBR of 18.5, brother. You looking at 2 guys. Now, mind you, we SEC boys.
Mhm.
Love Justin Herbert over here. We think he's sweet. We was both talking about him in the group chat last week. You know what I'm saying? As far as being an MVP front runner. You know what I'm saying? Me personally, I had Kyler Murray and Justin Herbert up there. A couple of the homies tried to throw Lamar Jackson in there. Again, this is last week prior to this week's game. And I'm like, nah, man, it's just the way, just how smooth Justin Herbert looked, man. You know what I mean? That's definitely between him and Kyler Murray. And at the time, they were 4-1. But, yeah, they just weren't able to consistently move the ball. Like he said, you know, they're trying fourth down conversions when they're in their own territory, which is just not smart football. But I get it, you know. If you want to live by the analytics, you're going to got to be willing to die by the analytics, you know what I mean? And that definitely, you know, again, this is a division-leading team in reference to the Chargers. You know, they're ahead of the Chiefs, y'all. You know what I mean? So this team can score, and they also beat the Chiefs. So, you know, this is definitely a good team. But, you know, the run game was non-existent. Austin Eckler had 6 carries for 7 yards. Justin Herbert led the team in rushing, and he only had 12 rushing yards. And that
Sheesh.
goes to show you right there, the Ravens defense just really just, you
That's a
know,
lot.
held it down. You know what I mean? They was able to hold my boy Keenan Allen to 5 catches for 50 yards. So, you know, it's definitely a great win for the Ravens, man. Shout out to my Bama boy Marlon Humphrey, man. We got him on the screen right now, man. You know, we got 2 Alabama former starters starting that corner for the Ravens, Anthony Averett and Marlon Humphrey. So shout out to them, man. Keep holding it down.
Speaking of Kyler Murray, he and the Cardinals dominate the Browns. Opinions.
You know, I thought about Malik yesterday. I will be honest, because I was just thinking like, man, is he thinking like I told y'all? You know what I mean? But in their defense, you know, they were banged up a little bit. Nick Chubb didn't play. You know, of course, Juice Landry is out. But I would say the turnovers were costly for the Browns. That was one of the games I tuned into because my red zone was kind of tripping yesterday from a connection standpoint. So I was watching like individual games, like flipping between, you know, the Chargers, Ravens, and then I tuned into the Browns game. You know, Malik and I we got a lot of family in Cleveland that are Browns fans, so you know, I just like to tune in from time to time. Plus, I got Chubb on fantasy, so I watch their games from time to time just to see what they do. And just from watching, man, you know, Baker, to his credit, though, he's tough for sure. You know, he toughed out some potential injuries that he faced during the games, I feel like, in reference to his shoulder. Odell did too. But, you know, overall, you know what I'm saying, it was just the turnovers, I feel like, that really ended up being costly in reference to the fumble, the pick that Baker threw, and then running the ball wise, you know, they really couldn't get anything going on the ground on a consistent basis. So, and then Kareem Hunt ended up getting hurt, which I hope he's okay. So, yeah, man, it was a great win for Arizona. You know, I'm not gonna lie, them being 6-0 is definitely shocking to me. Not to speak for Malik, but you know, we're both NFC West guys as well. You know, I'm a Niner fan, he's a Rams fan. That the Cardinals just traded for Zach Ertz too. So it's like, man, you know, they just keep adding weapons on top of the weapons they already have. D-Hop scored twice yesterday. AJ Green seems like he's slowly but surely coming back into his own. He scored yesterday. So, man, Kyler Murray looked good, y'all. I'm not going to front, you know, just throw his stat out there. He is the quarterback. He went 20 for 30 for 229 yards and 4 touchdowns. So, looking pretty good.
Somebody said the rich get richer in regards to that trade the Cardinals just made. Or they picked up.
Yeah, Malik and I talked about it prior to us hitting record. You know, he's not real big on the trade, but I like the trade, man. Zach Ertz is one of my favorite tight ends in the league. So I think, you know, if he could just stay healthy and they utilize him well, which I feel like they will, you know, he'll definitely have the matchup opportunities. I feel like he can show that he's still a Pro Bowl caliber tight end. So I hope not, being a Niner fan, but yeah, he like I said, that is one of my guys though. So
I mean, I think it was just a game where, you know, the Browns didn't take advantage. I watched a lot of the game. The Cardinals jumped out pretty good, but once the Browns settled in, they had opportunities. They were getting to Kyler Murray. They were sacking him. They had a chance there towards the end of the third to, cut it down to an 8-point game. I think Odell dropped the ball. So it's not all on Baker, but I mean, the majority of it comes down to Baker. That team is built around, running the football.
Mm-hmm.
And when you ain't got Nick Chubb and then, Kareem Hunt goes out injured, it's on Baker to make the plays with his arm. And he just truly couldn't seem to do it. I mean, they said he got hurt. I don't know when he did get hurt or re-aggravated his shoulder injury, but he threw a Hail Mary right before the half to cut the lead down to just a score, so and then I don't know, man. I'm not with the excuses, to be honest with you. I've always just been a little skeptical on, how Baker, just how they hype Baker up and put him on a pedestal. If you're really watching the games, he's really just a game manager, to be honest with you. And just got praised for it. I think that was just a good example of seeing it Sunday. They had opportunities for it to be a shootout, for him to put up points and prove himself otherwise, but he couldn't really do it without that running game backing him. So, I mean, Cardinals got another win, man. They undefeated. Somebody got to beat them. I hope we get them. But we get to give them their first L. But that'll be a little while. But other than that, not much there that I didn't know, to be honest with you.
Okay. Well, we moving on. We got a division matchup in the Ravens and Broncos. Ravens get the best of the Broncos. Give me your thoughts.
I think the Raiders played well. They rallied around, a lot of the controversy they had going on.
Inspired football, man.
With John Gruden getting fired, for the emails that got leaked or whatnot.
Corny.
To be honest with you.
Corny John Gruden.
Other than that, though, I mean, them beating the Broncos doesn't surprise me. I don't think the Broncos was the team that they record showed. I know that sounds crazy, but they hadn't played really anybody up until they played the Steelers last week, and even the Steelers clipped them being underdogs. But I like to see the Ravens. I mean, not the Ravens, but the Raiders. Rally around each other and really, stick together to get that complete team win. They pretty much dominated from start to finish. So shout out to Derek Carr. That's my fantasy quarterback. Other than that, yeah, shout out to them. Man. They took care of business. I'm not big on the Broncos.
What you got, Kay?
Well, real quick, man, may I ask why you're not big on the Broncos?
They haven't played nobody.
Word. I figured you was going to say that. I do like their defense, man. Yeah, they hadn't played nobody. But I did like, how they were starting out the year defensively. But, man, Teddy Bridgewater threw 3 picks yesterday. I'm like, man, he looked so well throughout the season. But starting out. But, yeah, man, like bro said, this was a division game. Raiders played inspired ball. I want to say, Malik, I feel like the Raiders are starting to use Henry Ruggs, how they're supposed to use him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Ruggs had a good game.
You feel me? Reference to, being a deep threat. Bro had over 100 receiving yards. You know what I mean? He had a touchdown. So, Josh Jacobs, Kenyon Drake, they both scored. I don't mean to keep mentioning Alabama players either, y'all. It's just, we just out there like that. You know what I mean? It just happens to be that way. But, yeah, man, the Raiders were my grandfather's team. So I definitely got respect for the Raiders, you know what I mean? And I just feel like it's good for sports, for the Oakland Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders now, to be good, you know what I mean? Similar to like the NBA, with the New York Knicks and the Los Angeles Lakers. It's just good for the brand, you know what I mean? So despite, the controversy that went on this week, that corny stuff, John Gruden, I don't even want to call him coach, that John Gruden, we're going to put a name on it, man. That, it's coming out in the emails, like what type of grown man talks like that through emails. You know what I mean? Like calling other people derogatory terms like that, talking about, the size of people's lips. Like that's just, like I said, the nicest thing I can say about that type of activity is just corny. You know what I mean? So, shout out to the Raiders for playing inspired ball and getting that dub despite the controversy, the distractions throughout the week.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how much just like, bad situations can bring teams together. I know, like, just for myself, um, there was a time where as a team we just rallied. Like we literally was just like, man, F it. We gonna play basketball how we play basketball. And then we actually went on a run, you know what I'm saying? Like an eight no run, like as far as games go. But yeah, you'd be surprised how just because at the end of the day the players play, right? And coaches sometimes get in the way of that, players playing. So um again, like y'all said, Gruden is corny for that. And probably really insecure. um just to feel that you would have to describe somebody in that manner is really, like, I think that's childish. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's something you say when you in elementary school. But I digress. Um, we can move it along. What we got? Cowboys versus the Pats. It was a shootout. Cowboys end up getting the Pats in overtime, right? Um, talk to us about that.
This is one of my overreaction Monday items right here, Malik, because that was a great Sunday night matchup. Of course, I was tuned in because of Mac Jones. Just wanted to see how he would fare, and he played relatively well. Despite that late turnover that he had, he did bounce back with what would have been the game-winning touchdown pass. But reason why I say this is one of my overreaction Monday items, not to be trendy whatsoever, but I mean, Malik, what you think? Do you think they're Super Bowl contenders? Like they should be considered Super Bowl contenders?
Who, the Cowboys?
Yep, yes, sir.
Um,
Just the weapons they have, the way they can score, the talent they got on the roster defensively.
it's wait and see with Cowboys every year. Can't get their fans anymore.
Ammo, yeah, word.
It's wait and see. They're a really solid football team. The Patriots, held the run game in check yesterday. I think that's really the key. I think Dak threw one of them 50 pass games again, or got close to it.
He threw 51 times.
Yeah. So, that's the recipe for them. I mean, they ended up pulling it out barely. Mac Jones helped them out with that. But yeah, I mean, the Cowboys are talented. They got mad talent on the roster, both sides. You know, but it'll be interesting to see. I think you got to wait and see. I still think it's a couple NFC teams better than them, but they have the luxury of playing in the NFC East, so they'll definitely be there towards the end. They'll definitely get a home playoff game, stuff like that. So stuff will work in their favor, but I would just wait and see. To be honest with you, I think their best win is the Panthers up until this point.
I agree.
Who don't really have a good win themselves. So I mean, it's hit or miss with the Cowboys. They are talented, though. I'm not taking nothing away from them. They're a talented football team, and they definitely have the roster to make some noise. But you got to see. You got to see. The game's got to get played first before I give them that.
Word. I will say it's looking like they're gonna have 2,000-yard receivers in reference to CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper. Although Amari is the number one receiver for the Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb leads the team in receiving yards. So he's almost at 500 through 6 games. So just want to throw that out there, man, offensively. I mean, deservingly so, though. The Cowboys, one of the top passing teams in the league, man. They tossed that thing around. Dak Prescott. I almost came out country. I almost said Dak Prescott. But
You are a country boy.
Dak went 36 for 51 for 445 yards, 3 tutties. So yeah, man.
They be slinging that thing.
Yeah, man.
They got a good run game too. They top 5 in rushing as well. But
Mhm.
like I said yesterday,
Yeah, they had him in check
obviously-
yesterday.
Mhm.
So, yeah, Cowboys are talented.
It's a good win for them, though, man.
Shout out to the Cowboys. My brother Dre, rest in peace. Big Cowboys fan.
Rest in peace, Dre.
Moving on. We got the Steelers squeezing past the Seahawks in overtime, 23-20. Russell Wilson is out. Just had surgery on a finger. Gino uh, was the QB1. Tell me your thoughts.
It was a game the Steelers had to win. I thought they would win. Seattle's defense isn't. It's literally one of the worst in the NFL. So I thought if Big Ben could, could look like himself or, like Big Ben of old, this would be one of those games. They got up, I think they were up 14-0 at half. So they controlled the game early. They let Seattle get back in it with the overtime. TJ Watt came up huge.
Yeah, with that strip sack.
So it was just a good solid win for the Steelers. One they needed to get with Russell Wilson not being able to play. Gino didn't play bad, but like I said, at the end he made those. He got sacked one time by TJ Watt, and then TJ Watt, stripped the ball from him right there in overtime to secure the win. So, shout out to the Steelers. It was just a game they had to pick up. I figured they would pick up, and they did, man. So, shout out to them guys.
Yeah, man. They had a real balanced attack last night. I feel like they threw the ball 40 times in reference to the Steelers, ran the ball 30 times. So, they're trying to get more balance with their offensive attack. Najee Harris had 24 carries for 81 yards, but then he had 6 catches for 46 yards and a touchdown. So I really like how they're utilizing the weapons that they have. Deontay Johnson had a carry for 25 yards, but then he also had 9 catches for 71 yards. So, they're getting their playmakers the ball, giving them touches and allowing them to, make plays instead of just letting Big Ben just drop back. And, he is getting older, you know what I mean? So they have to, kind of do it by committee, so to speak. Big Ben still does have to show flashes at certain times in reference to the passing game, just completing and converting third downs. However, I do like the commitment that the Steelers have been showing to run the ball this season and specifically these past 2 weeks. And definitely wanted to highlight, Najee Harris, you know what I'm saying? Because he's definitely progressing each week. And I love how they utilize him in the passing game, man. He's really improving as a receiving back, man. I really like how they utilize him in the pass game. Reminds me a lot of what they tried to do. What they did with Le'Veon Bell. Of course, not comparing Najee to Le'Veon, you know what I mean? But that was just a bad business decision. I feel like Malik in reference to the Steelers not re-signing Le'Veon. They finally got a back that's showing some type of flash, you know what I mean, that, can help them in the run game. So, hopefully they could just continue to prove upon that and that defense can continue to, be consistent because they got some heads over there, man, in reference to Devin Bush and Minka Fitzpatrick and TJ Watt. They got some heads over there, man. Joe Hayden, your boy, Florida boy. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. Hopefully they can continue to, stack the wins. They're 3-3 right now. Coach Tomlin's never had a losing season with the Steelers, so we'll see.
That's crazy. I was just going to say Steelers moved to a record of 3-3 and the Seahawks fall to a record of 2-4. Hate that for those guys. Next up, we got the Vikings and the Panthers. Vikings get the Panthers in overtime. A lot of overtime games yesterday. Talk to us about that one.
There's been a fairly amount of overtime games this season, for real.
Yeah, for sure.
But that game, I expected the Vikings to win. The Vikings were favored. Um, it was a good game, though, to be honest with you. I think that Kirk Cousins is playing well this year. I know he gets kind of a bad rep, and I've even thrown it out there on him. But he's really kind of the reason why that they stay in a lot of these games. And I know Dalvin Cook was back this week, so that helped having him. A little bit of the run game to lean on. He's special whenever he's healthy. So, it was a good team win for the Vikings. The Panthers played hard. The Panthers have a good, solid young defense too. Don't get me wrong. I know I said something about them earlier.
That DB room is stout.
But there's still a lot of the roster left to be desired, especially on the offensive side. And they didn't have C-Mac, Christian McCaffrey. So that's always going to be tough for the Panthers as well. He's like 80% of the offense a lot of the times when he plays. Other than that, it was a solid win by the Vikings. Kind of what I expected, to be honest with you. I didn't expect the overtime game, but, that's how it goes sometimes. But.
Is it worth diving into detail why Kirk Cousins gets a bad rep?
Yeah, absolutely. He's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league. You know what I mean? If you just look at his numbers, he shows it through and through every year. I think, honestly, to answer that question, and Malik can attest to this, I think people kind of give him a bad rap on it's like kind of two-sided, right? And what I mean by that is, he wasn't a very high draft pick, you know what I mean? And then he came in as a backup, you know what I'm saying? And if y'all remember, when the Redskins were doing their thing, the Washington football team now, formerly the Washington Redskins, RG3 was running it up. And you're like, man, why would Washington draft two quarterbacks, when you got the Heisman winner, RG3, you know what I mean? So I just felt like, just from a mental standpoint, just people wrote Kirk Cousins off, you know what I mean? It was just looking for reasons to, confirm why he should be written off. And just year after year, he just continues to prove that he is deserving of being an NFL starter. And, like I said, he's very consistent. Yesterday, he went 33 for 48 with 373 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, he played a great game, man. The Vikings definitely aren't, in bad shape because of their quarterback. They're not in bad shape at all, but if they were, it wouldn't be because of Kirk Cousins. So, that's just my personal opinion. I think just how he came into the league, you know what I mean, maybe rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, you know what I'm saying? Because, again, he was the backup for RG3. And then, like, the speculations was like, why would you draft two quarterbacks? Then when RG3 got hurt and he came in, it proved to be smart. But then it's like, all right, man, we got another, quarterback that could potentially be like Vic, and you taking the shine from him. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like people been waiting for him to lose, and he just hasn't happened yet. What you think, though, bro?
I think it's a combination of that. The Washington front office they actually had difference of opinions when they were drafting RG3 that year. The actual owner wanted RG3, so that's why they drafted RG3. But Jay Gruden and them guys, they like Kirk Cousins.
Mm.
So you got that, and then you got Kirk Cousins at one point was like the highest paid player in football. He was making the most annually because how he structures his contract. They're always fully guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
Takes like 1 year deals, 2 year deals, and, kind of like a mercenary, just paying for play, but doing it the right way, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's just, where Kirk Cousins makes so much money and he's never really had much playoff success. I don't even know if he's played in the playoffs, to be honest with you. I think that's where it is. He's super consistent enough to be a starter and get you a solid record and everything, but he never makes the plays when he's supposed to, to put your team over the top. So I think it's just kind of splitting like that. He's making a lot of money and he's not doing anything special, but he's not doing anything wrong either, though. You know what I'm saying? He's playing solid football. It's just kind of like in between. I think that's what it is, though, mostly, to be honest with you.
Got you. Got you. That wraps up our NFL section, unless you guys want to touch on the Jags getting their first win.
Shout out to the Jags. I do want to say, Tua played very well yesterday. Malik had over 300 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. I know Tua gets a bad rap from time to time, man, but yesterday he showed flashes. Now, I will admit, definitely got to, but it was his first game, so I expected a little bit of rust, but there were some easy throws that he missed, especially to Gesicki. There was some easy completions that he had that I know he wish he would have, executed on. But shout out to Jags, man. One of Malik's former coaches at Florida, Urban Meyer, got his first NFL dub. So definitely Trevor Lawrence, you know what I'm saying? Definitely respect him as an opponent. You know what I mean? He's a great quarterback, one of the highly recruited quarterbacks, and, that came through Clemson's program. And, he had so much hype. People were saying he could have went pro after his freshman year. So, he definitely deserves credit for leading those boys to a victory yesterday. So, yeah, man, shout out to the Jags. But real quick, I wanted to ask, were you mentioning when you were talking about Kirk Cousins, were you referencing like you wasn't sure if he made it to the playoffs?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if he played in playoff games.
Yeah. Well, remember, the Niners, we beat them in the playoffs, but remember that pass he threw to Stephon Diggs against the Saints.
That wasn't him.
That wasn't him?
Nah, that was Case Keenum.
Oh my gosh, got you. I definitely remember him playing against us though, because he threw a pick to Richard Sherman. So he's definitely played in the playoffs and got a win in the playoffs. But man, thank you for that though. I thought that was Kirk that threw that to Stephon. Man.
Nah, that was Case Keenum.
Got you.
Word.
You got the WNBA, Dree, baby. Shout out to Candace Parker, my baby, and my mom.
Shout out to Candace Parker and the Chicago Sky. They win their first ever WNBA championship, and did it with a record of 16-16. Can you believe that? But yeah, Candace Parker, definitely a great leader. She finished the game with a double-double. She had 16 and 13, 16 points, 13 boards, 5 assists. Kalia Cooper, she actually got the finals MVP. She had been balling. In this game, she only had 10, but the rest of the time, she was killing. Y'all seen that meme? Like, she.
Yeah, what happened in that particular meme? Did she make her or something?
I don't think she made her fall. She got an and and like came back down, was like, what up? You feel me? But the Mercury, they went out swinging. The game went down to the wire. Diana Taurasi finished with 16. Brittany Griner had 28 and 7. Skylar Diggins Smith, she had 16 points, 2 rebounds, and 8 assists. I guess they just ran out of firepower. I was talking to my teammate Tracy. She works with the WNBA. She works closely with some of the players, and she was just saying that the Chicago Sky, like, just their fan base trying to play in that arena, like, she was like, it was just bad for the Phoenix Sun. Like, it was like a 6-man on the court for real. Like, it was nothing they could do with that. Like, it was just so loud. It was a sold out crowd both nights. Well, all 3 nights that they played in the arena, it was sold out. So
what they do, sweep them 3-0?
No. So they go, since it's a 5 series, they go home. Well, first seed, second seed, first seed. Then if it's a game 5, it goes to the second seed. If that makes sense.
Okay, got you. Candace Parker hit a big 3.
Yep. She hit a big 3 to tie the game, like with 2 minutes to go, and then I guess the momentum just took them right to the dub. So shout out to Candace Parker and the Chicago Sky. Candace Parker is from Chicago also, so she brought a chip home. So I'm sure that's very big for her.
That's why I'm not too salty about it. You know, I want to.
Yeah, I wanted Diana to get one because I feel like she's nearing the end of her, tenure. So it will be a good, a good takeaway story, good way to go out on top. But you really can't. I mean, I feel like as a fan, especially as a women's basketball fan, that's a win-win. Like you got Candace Parker or you got Diana Taurasi. Both are considered goats of their generation. So that's a win-win as a fan. You can't really be mad if either one of those ladies win or take a ship home. So um,
Did Candace Parker get a ring at Tennessee? Do you remember?
this year, yeah, yeah, they got one. I think they might have got a couple. They might have got two. I know, she for sure got one though. Her and Lex. Yeah, she might have got a couple, but yeah, Candace Parker is special. She's special player. So yeah, again, shout out to them. And then just another quick fun fact: their coach is a black man too, so got him his first championship, which is always awesome. So salute to the Kings. Um, and that takes us right into our NBA preview. Um, season begins tomorrow.
Tomorrow, believe it or not. You know, I was just sharing memories from last season where my Lakers got the ring in the bubble down in Orlando. Can y'all believe that was legit a year ago, like 12 months ago? So we're in our third quote unquote season in a year because they
In a
finished
year.
the bubble, then they started a new season. Now we're on another season. But yeah, man, I'm excited. Basketball's here. Y'all know just as well as myself. The NBA normally starts at the end of October, so it's a little sooner this year, but I'm not complaining. You know, we got a couple great matchups tomorrow. We got the defending champions playing the Brooklyn Nets. Uh, when I say defending champions, I mean the Milwaukee Bucks. And then we got the Golden State Warriors versus my Los Angeles Lakers, which would be Klay Thompson's first game back. So yeah, you
I
know,
don't think he playing.
Klay not playing. I'm glad you said that. I've been wondering. I haven't seen anything. Oh, bro,
I think he's still hurt.
he out. Yeah.
Yeah, he ain't gonna be back for a few months into the season, bro.
Dang,
If I'm not mistaken.
dang, Klay. I was not Laker fan, but you know, quick fun fact. I modeled my 2K my player after Klay Thompson. I'm not gonna. I just find myself in reference to 2K being the catch and shoot guy. So man, I wanted to, you know, I just wanted to see that comeback story. But yeah, so um, but yeah, I'm interested to see what the starting lineup for the Lakers will be tomorrow. You know, I'm excited to see Russ, AD, and Braun on the same floor tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to that. As it stands, you know, right now, Kyrie Irving won't be joining the Milwaukee Bucks. So it'll just be James Harden and KD and the rest of those boys, you know, Blake Griffin and, you know, LaMarcus Aldridge and all them. But yeah, I'm excited for the game tomorrow. You know, seeing Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, uh, Giannis, all them boys lining back up. You know, to get that rematch from the playoffs. So it's gonna be some exciting basketball tomorrow. So you know, and as it stands, you know, I feel like this is the best time of the year, y'all, as far as sports spectators, because it's October, so it's the playoffs for baseball, which is coming to an end. And you know, we got the NFL season, which is in full swing, college football season. Now we got the NBA season that's about to start, and WNBA just ended. So it's a
Hmm.
lot of sports going on right now, man. Definitely soak it in. You know what I mean? There's should never be any complaints about being bored or nothing on TV. There's here starting tomorrow. There's always going to be something to watch. NBA is always on, and yeah. So definitely looking forward to those two games tomorrow, man. Shout out my Lakers.
College basketball is also on the way, so
Facts.
it's about to be a heck of a time to be alive for a sports fan. I'm just wishing everybody, all the athletes, a
Healthy.
healthy season, injury-free season. I think it's big for them to get a full off season now versus like when the teams that went to the bubble, they didn't really get a full off season. So I think that had a lot to do with the injuries that happened last season because there were a lot of them like early, a lot of like lower extremity injuries. So yeah, I think it's big that the NBA guys they get a full off season. So I'm looking forward to see how that joint turns out.
Yeah, for sure. More sports the merrier, man. I'll I'll tune in tomorrow to watch both of those games. Uh, Interested to see how the Bucks play as one of the 100 teams now instead of the 100. They finally got them a ring. Anxious to see what Bron does in year 19 with the Lakers. Should be a good season, man.
I mean, just me knowing you personally, you know what I'm saying? You gonna tune in to hoop a little more this year?
Um, it just depends on who's playing, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because you don't bet on basketball, right?
Not really.
Understandably so. So it's tough. So
Yeah,
but yeah,
especially with the NBA, because people be playing, not playing. You like,
you know what I mean?
Basketball is sporadic, man. You just never know who's going to be on that night. It could be somebody
right.
off the bench going crazy or something.
Mm-hmm.
Just mess it all up. So basketball is tough to bet on, to be honest.
Yeah,
College basketball is a little easier though.
yeah, when you bet on basketball, you gotta bet on like points or something. Somebody gonna get this many points or board, something like that.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah,
In-game parlays and stuff like that with basketball is the way to go more than just betting the lines, because you never know who's going to show up to play that night or who's going to be on fire that night. It can change. It can vary night to night. They play so many games.
facts.
Yeah, I always give my Tar Heels a shot. I always try to catch some of the earlier college basketball matchups. And I watch some of the bigger matchups for NBA as well. It's just basketball is just it's hit or miss whether I want to watch it. To be honest.
Yeah, I figured I'd ask, but just knowing you personally, you know what I'm saying? Just wanted to see if you felt like tuning in a little bit more now that, the league should be a little healthier this year. So, yeah, man, I'm excited. Like we said, man, it's the best time of the year. The more sports, the merrier. And
Yes, sir. We appreciate y'all tuning in, man. What's this episode 8, 9?
nah,
9. Dang, that was close. We moving right along, fellas, man. Yeah, grateful to be a part of this with you guys. Go ahead, close us out, Kay.
yeah, man, like we said, just please keep supporting us. The analytics are definitely going up, and we appreciate the views going up. We appreciate the subscribers going up. So please, rate us on Apple Podcasts, follow us on Apple Podcasts so you can know when we drop. Like, share our content on YouTube. Just to give you a background, there's 11 different ways to view our content. We have a website. We have a YouTube channel. You can hear us on Google Podcasts, Breakers, Pocket Casts, Apple, Spotify. We have a lot. So, but yeah, we definitely appreciate y'all. Please keep liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting. And yeah, man, you got anything for us, Malik?
Nah, man, just keep supporting, man. Appreciate everybody that takes a listen. When they take a listen, no matter how you do it, it all adds up, So, just keep sharing, subscribing when we post. You know what I'm saying? It's all appreciated for sure.
Yeah, man. Love is love. CSN the Network podcast. It's your host and our co-host, Kay, Dree, Malik, and we out, man. Thank y'all.
Out.